Well, it's my pleasure to be able to introduce you to Chuck Goldstone. For those of you that don't know him already, he runs an incredible group called the Chuck Goldstone Roundtable. He is the founder and CEO of Chuck Goldstone Strategies and Stories. He is globally recognized as an authority on communication, story, and pitching. He's an entrepreneur, an author, a teacher, mentor, coach, business strategist, catalyst, astute observer, problem solver, and preventer, pitch and strategy doctor, vision architect, former radio commentary, and pundit nationally on public radio. Purveyor of tough love and gentle encouragement. And with that, I give you Chuck Goldstone.
And hello. And we did leave out avid ukulele player, but don't judge me. At any rate, good to see everyone. I take it I have a screen share.
You do.
Here, let me just see if I can bring this up and we can begin. Let's see. Tell me, are we
like a pro?
Are we full screen? Okay.
Get rid of your build order thing down there.
I'm sorry?
There's a little thing.
Okay. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Let me see if that's better. Is that better?
It is perfect.
All right.
Take it away.
So, at any rate, we all, no matter what it is that we do, we pretty much understand what we do. The issue is we've got a world out there, and these are the folks we want to have to interact with. So you have some great idea that's going to drive your own business. It's going to make you rich and famous. It'll make you the envy of all who use Survey. But this great idea that you came up with, that is probably the second most important thing that you will ever do in order to become successful. And the first is simply convincing others. We don't live in a vacuum. Everything that we do requires other people. There are stakeholders. I see great technologies. I see great ideas all the time, extraordinary ideas. And I see a lot of people fail and certainly falter, not because the technology isn't good, not because the idea isn't good, it's because the story isn't good. They haven't reached the people who they need in order to make them successful, whether they're clients or customers or those who they're supporting. So we only have about 10 minutes. What I wanted to do is take my full day workshop, my 4-session masterclass, and just pull out a handful of ideas just to change the way you think about this idea of communication. And what I like to think of is the story that we tell others, our voice. So there you are. You've got this great idea that you think that maybe all you have to do is let people know a little bit about what it is you do, and they're going to be pounding on your door. And you've got the best thing since sliced bread. The problem is that me that you think you are surrounded by a billion me's. Your world is attacked by many of the me's that they confront every day. So the question is, how are you going to stand out? How are you going to be heard? How are you going to be clear? And most important, how do you differentiate from all of that? How do you separate yourself from the rest of the noise so they see that what it is that you do adds some value to them? Companies, and I work with a lot of startups globally, companies will fail for one of 3 reasons. Number one, their idea sucked. It just was an idea. It was a solution in search of a problem. It didn't respond to the audience. Lots of reasons. The second is the idea is good, but it's poorly executed. There was not a good business plan, or there wasn't the right team, wasn't the right funding, wasn't the right size. But the majority fail because it is basically a good idea and it's executed well, but the story was not strong. So what I try to help people is, how do you create an aligning story so people say, yeah, I get it. That's cool. That interests me. Now tell me more. So I think your story is among your most valuable assets, because if you don't have it, you're really going to struggle. So let's put ourselves in any situation. You're at a networking meeting and now they're starting to come back, but think about the first question. You walk into a room, you meet somebody for the first time, think about the first question that they ask. And if you're thinking about it, chances are this is what it was. People say, what do you do? And I ask people all the time, I say, what do you do? And they give me this long answer and I nod my head. And sometimes they want to say, that's really interesting. I have one follow-up question. What do you do? They haven't really explained sufficiently, may have explained it in a too complex way, maybe telling the story from the inside out, but it just doesn't reach me. Let me leave you with two truths. One is you are not who you think you are. You are not even who you are. You are who they think you are. So it's very important to be able to communicate to them who you are and why that's important to them. And the second important truth is it's not their responsibility to understand you. It's our responsibility to be understood. And if they don't get it, it's not their fault. So we need to find our voice and to find our message. I think every pitch needs to do 5 things. And in the workshops that I do, and through the years, my years of really researching this and finding out what messages were all about, they need to start by capturing attention. They need to engage. They need to be relevant to your audience. They need to be simple and clear. We cannot overtell our story, especially in the beginning. They need to be memorable. You need to find a way to get from short-term attention to long-term memory. And finally, and most important, we don't communicate just to change what people know. We communicate to change what people do. So what is it that drives action? When you think about your message, you've got to think as you deliver it, what do you want your audience to do as a result of this? So how do we answer this question, what do you do? It's not how you do it. And that's what people normally respond to. It starts with, why do you deserve to be in the cosmos? What's the problem you're solving, the pain you're eradicating, or the opportunity that you're bringing? Has it never been done before? Or maybe it's been done before, but guess what? You can do it better. And I used to think it stopped there. And then I really got thinking about what the world is about. And I thought, no, there's a third option. You can find that other people are doing it better, but you have the better story. And let me give you an example of that. If you are like most of us and you have a closet full of VHS tapes or video cassettes, they're probably VHS and not Beta. Beta was far superior, but Beta didn't have the right story. They didn't have the right connection to the audience. So the first part of the question of what do you do is why do you deserve to be in the cosmos? But the second and most important is you got to relate it to them. It's got to now be about them. Why should they care? Once you're done with that, then you can move on to the real purpose, to the do. What should we do next? So that's, I think, how you answer the question. Because decisions, by the way, are not made. All the science indicates decisions are not made in the cognitive part of our brain. They're made in the emotional part of our brain. We don't say yes until our gut says yes. So your challenge is to communicate who you are and make it enter through that affective portal. So it is about story. But whose story is it? Is it about you? Well, you may be the subject matter, but it needs to be their story. They need to be the center of what it is that you do. Whether it's the problem, it's got to be their problem. So you need to make it their story. Yes, you in fact the subject matter, but it needs to be about them. So we can't just tell the story from the inside out. We do this. Well, so what? What it needs to be is you need to understand their needs and tell the story from their perspective so that they see you as that little yellow dot from whatever perspective they have, so that you add value to them. So you need to be savvy when you're communicating with people to give them the right lens to see you. And you can only do that by really understanding them. So second major of our 3 points here is you need to start with the problem and not the solution. The solution is about you. Don't be the solution in search of a problem. They're only going to tune into you and be interested in you is if you can supply them with some kind of solution. Are you satisfying something that's a problem, a need, a problem, a pain, a fear? Can you make that bad thing go away? Or maybe they're doing something okay, but you can help them do it better. So we need to either start by providing a solution to a problem or an opportunity. There are only two emotions, basically, and one is pain and the other is pleasure. So you've got to be one of those. Unless you really can identify what the pain you're eradicating is or the pleasure that you're helping them with, then you may not have an opportunity for as much success as maybe that you would want. So again, the solution is about you and how you do it, but the problem is really about them and why they need you. So it's always why first, what second, how third, and just don't screw up that order. Number three, we need to differentiate. There are a lot of people out there. We've got to be the one who is remembered. So you really need to start by letting people know the general category you're in. You know, I do financial planning. I do healthcare. I make dog wallets, and which, by the way, when you think about it, they don't have pockets. So if your own venture fails, just jump in and take over on that one. So anyway, we got to start with the opportunity, the general category first, so they know generally what you do. But that's not enough. You have to very quickly say why you're different. Here's the group, but wait, there's more. Here's what I do. Now, the beauty of that is that I've discovered that we make decisions, we engage with people and we pay attention based on how similar they are to what it is that we already know. But that's engagement. Engagement is based on similarity. Decision is made on differences. We decide based on how different everyone is from those other things that we could confuse them with. So the math is in your favor. If you're just under that big triangle and you're 1 in 97, but if you can show how you're differentiated and how that is really beneficial, then you're simply 1 and 2. It's either you or the rest of them. So the last little thing I want to talk about briefly is something it could take another half hour to talk about, and that is, how do you explain yourself in 20 seconds? Well, there's no simple solution to that. But what you need to do is make sure that you engage them by not starting out by just telling them what you do, but you've got to really underscore why it's important to them. So you really need to think about the people who you're talking with, even briefly, to engage them from the perspective of what is important for them. Let me leave you with a couple of resources. You know, I'm not here to sell you. What I am here to do is to say there are some resources. Some of them are free. One is the roundtable that I run. That's where I met Isis, and now this group, we meet every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. If you go to chucksroundtable.com, you can register. There's a link there. It's free for now. Probably will continue to be free for quite some time. But we have 15 to 30 people show up each week. And we have amazing conversations, many connections we've had in the last 110, this will be our 111th meeting. We've had over 9,000 connections, collaborations, referrals, job leads, funding. It's been great. And I will leave you with this, that if you fail, I hope it is because your idea sucks and not because you couldn't communicate. Ultimately, you want people to listen, to like you, and what you hope is they do what you want. Those who want to get in touch with me, I am happy to do a short chat with anybody for 15 minutes. For people who really want to go into greater detail, I run a monthly masterclass in story and strategy, and it's just get in touch with me if you have some interest. And I hope within the next 4 or 5 months, I can get Isis and this group some information. I'm launching a book now on the fairly unique story model that I have. So that is sort of it for me for the moment. I've just got to say, you've got to balance both image and information. And if there's time for a question or two, I don't know how much time we have left here, Isis, but
Well, Chuck, what I think I'd like to do, we're just a little bit over on the presentation time, which is fine because, as I always say, everything works out for me. We had a smaller group today than is normal. So what I'd like to do is I'd like everyone to go straight into their 45-second pitch and then leave a little time afterwards instead of the testimonials, which we typically do. Let's jump into a quick breakout session on some questions people might have after they've done the work. Sound good? All right. So go ahead and stop sharing when you're ready. Perfect. And I'm going